Donald Trump demands one thing above all else in his administration. And we all know it sure as hell isn't competence. It's loyalty. Absolute, ring-kissing, praise the king loyalty. Donald Trump wants you to kneel, smile, and tell dear leader he's doing a tremendous job even as the building burns down around him. But the question is, does he return that loyalty to the people who crawl over glass for him? I can't even finish that thought without laughing. Because we've watched this man throw everyone close to him under the bus, back the bus up, and roll over them twice for good measure. Loyalty, in Trump world, is a one-way street straight into oncoming traffic. And tonight, one of Donald Trump's own top advisors is learning that lesson in real time because Trump just pulled off a shock firing inside the White House. And yes, even by his standards, the reason is pathetically on brand. We're going to get into every bit of it. But before we talk about who got shoved off the cliff this time, I want to start with the person Donald Trump should have escorted out the door, preferably with a boot print on his backside. And that's Pete Hegseth, who has somehow generated more scandal in a single week than some corrupt officials manage in an entire career. And we need to be talking about it.
First, they lie. That's what has happened in the American military after every war crime committed by the American military. First, they lie. Somewhere in the chain of command, they lie. That is what Donald Trump's incompetent Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, did when first confronted with the Washington Post breaking news report of a second missile strike on a small boat that had already been destroyed and burst into flames after the first missile strike. The Washington Post reported that the second missile strike killed 2 people clinging to the wreckage, which would be a war crime in a war and is murder outside of war. There is no war in the Caribbean. There is no fog of war there. So Pete Hegseth lied and said that everything in the Washington Post article was, quote, the fake news delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting. That was Pete Hegseth's first lie about this story as soon as it came out. Pete Hegseth himself has already turned himself in for lying about that, for telling that lie, since he has changed his story multiple times since he told that lie on Sunday. In Vietnam, the worst American military war crime of the 20th century, was called a resounding success. Those are the words, resounding success, in the first after-action report.